All right, everybody, welcome to another episode at Project Nine Oaks. I got another project here working on this pink podium. Gonna be upgrading this. This is, my wife uses this for her job as a teacher. And back when we first got married, this was one of the first projects I ever did. And so don't make fun of me. It's kind of worn out its usefulness, and I'd made a lot of mistakes at the beginning and didn't really understand how things really went together and how long they last. So anyway, this one is kind of, the dimensions aren't really right, and the podium angle is too steep, things like that. So we're going to totally redo it and just build a new one, and then we're going to paint it pink when we're done. So of course, everything in her room is pink, so this new podium will be pink. So join me on this episode. We're going to be working on a podium. This is the side piece for the podium, and I've got it 6 inches in the front, 10 inches in the back, and it's 16 inches long. So this is the side. You can kind of picture the, if these are the legs, they're going to go up underneath, and this is going to be attached to the outside of the legs. And so when I cut the legs, I'm going to have to kind of miter the ends on them. So I'm going to have them go all the way up to the top, so it has a nice support for the podium. When you push it, it's not going to want to bend or anything. So have a nice, good amount of leg support on each side. And then the bottom, if this was the bottom plywood, would go up under like this, so the side is going to completely cover everything. The only thing that'll have a little bit of overlap is the front piece. I think I'm going to have that to where you'll see the edge of it on this side, on the side. So when you're looking at it, like as a student, you don't see the edges. So we're going to cut this out, cut one out, and then I'm just going to flip it over and trace it again and have another one. And we'll get 2 sides, and then I'm going to kind of cut out part of the leg piece, so the bottom will slide in. I'll take you along for that, but that way we can kind of have 2 sides completely built. Then I'll build the back and the top. So let's get to cutting this and keep moving. Okay, so here are the legs for it. I ripped this 2x4 basically in half. And I'm going to measure for the front legs. I just did, and it's 28 inches to the front and to the top, and the angle is 15 degrees, pretty close. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut it that, and then I'll flip it over and we'll cut the other leg. So let's do that first. Okay, I'm going to go over how I figured out the length for the back. I'm sure there's a mathematical way of doing this, but basically all I did was I cut this leg here to the front and kind of lined it up, made a mark on the bottom. So now that's the length of the leg that's sticking out the bottom of the podium, and you're going to want that to be the same for the front and the back. So I made this mark here, and so then I measured the length that's on the bottom, that's sticking out the bottom, and it's 22¼ inches. And then so I just basically went here to 22¼ and then this was 10 inches, so it's 32¼ we can measure just to make sure. But here, I'll get you on the in the camera view there. So 22¼ and then the top is 32¼ so 32¼ is the long length. We'll cut down 15 degrees, and so it'll match this angle, and then we'll have the back. So we'll do that twice, and then we'll start gluing what we're going to do is cut a notch out, I think with the table saw, and that's going to be right above this line to accept the bottom piece. So we're going to do that after I cut these back 2 legs. Okay, so now we've got to make this kind of routed out part of the legs. And so what I've done here is I've lined them all up. Here, let me back you up a little bit so you can see if I can do that. Okay, so I don't know if you could see all this, but basically these are all the legs, and I've got them all lined up here at the bottom, nice and flush just by touch. You can really tell if they're all nice and flush by touching it. Then I had that mark that was the bottom of the side. So that's the very bottom of the podium before the legs. It's just the legs after it. So I'm gonna, transfer that line all the way across all the legs. And it moves, of course. So let me make sure that was correct. Yeah, so we're gonna all 4 legs, then we're gonna rotate it. One more is a mark on 2 sides of it, and that's what we're gonna router out. So this is gonna be the back left corner. So we're gonna take a notch out of this, and this, it's gonna be a 1/4 inch deep, and I believe I'll go measure that plywood. The bottom plywood is 5/8 wide. So we'll do that on the table saw here, and I'll get it all set up and then bring you back for that. So we're all set up here on the table saw. I have it a 1/4 inch, you know, raised out of the table here, and I've got it measured over to where I'm running up against the fence here, and I am, you know, just like on this side of the line. So I'm going to start with the bottom, you know, lines. I'm going to cut it on one side, flip it, cut on the other, then do the other long one the same, and then we'll move it because I'm using the top fence here, and we'll move this down to do the shorter legs. And so we're gonna do our best at this. I don't really like doing these cross cuts like this on the table saw, and I'm gonna have to move you guys. I'm gonna run into you here when I do this. So I don't like doing a cross cut, but I need one of those, you know, nice fences that will slide like a cross cut rail, but I don't have one. So we're just gonna go this first. Let me get some safety glasses. We're back at the workbench, and I've got the base board here. So this is that 5/8 thick plywood, and I've cut notches in the corners that are 1¼ inch by 1¼ inch, and on all 4 corners, and that's what's going to accept this this, you know, routered out portion that's, you know, a 1/4 inch thick deep, so that, you know, we'll finish taking up the 1½ inch piece here, and it's on 2 sides, so it just kind of, you know, slides in there nice. And so it'll, when I glue that in there, that'll add just another little piece of grip, you know, that's going to hold this leg on. Does the same on the back here. And then I was trying to think of a way to make it straight. How do you know that it's vertical? And so the edge of my you know, workbench here is going to serve as that to help keep it straight up and down. And then I'm going to have just a square to make sure it's level this way. So we're going to glue in these parts, and then we're going to, you know, glue the side on like this, so it'll cover it up nice. And then we'll just use the short nail gun here. We'll get some like 1-inch nails and just shoot them in. So let's get started with that. Now, gotta sand it all, gotta get it nice and smooth, and then go get some paint. And oddly enough, Lowe's was out of pink paint, So not sure who else is painting pink stuff, but I need to go try a different place. Okay, all the sanding is done, and now I need to put this kind of book stop, I don't know what you'd call it, on the bottom. So the last time I had just like a 1/4 inch dowel. I think it was just something I had on hand, and it wasn't quite tall enough, so this is going to be much beefier kind of stop for the books. So this is just like, I think it's about 1 inch tall. So there has been a design change. My wife got home and started looking at things and noticed that it was a little too short. I made it taller than the last one, but it wasn't tall enough. Some change of how she's going to be using it. So it is very difficult, I think, to extend the legs longer. I just don't think that'll be good, and there'll be kind of a weak point there. So what we've come up with is to add another kind of platform shelf of sorts. So I'm going to add a piece of plywood on the bottom that's the same dimensions as this one, and screw that into the bottom of the legs. And then I'm going to put vertical, I think I'm going to use like either 1x6 or so, and go around the edges underneath, so that raises it about 6 inches. And then I'll put the casters underneath that, and I'll attach them to like a block underneath there, and then I'll raise it another 2 inches or so. So I was done sanding. Man, it was beautiful. All this was done, ready to paint, and now change. So I'm back in here. Let me kind of clean up some junk from working on something else, and so get back to it. Got the casters. I'm going to put them on just like this, where they're going to be screwed in each of the 3 pieces right here. So we're just going to put them in like that. We're going to drill holes first and then just screw them in. So I have this cool tool that I got last year, and this is like for drilling holes in, well, like for hinges and things like this, where you want to get it exactly in the center. I think it's called a Vix bit, V-I-X-B-I-T. And basically it's spring-loaded. It has a centering mechanism that holds it in the center of the hole, and you just drill through it. It's pretty neat. So I'm going to do this first, and then we'll screw it together. All right, well, there she is, a pink podium. So I think it turned out pretty good. Got it on the casters now, so it rolls pretty good. It's pretty solid. And I want to give you some final dimensions. This is 24 inches wide. It's 16 inches wide if you go straight, but the angled piece, it's about 17.5 inches. This sticks up about 1 inch, so your books can rest on there. This opening is 6 inches tall. Total from the ground to the front is 37.5. And then on the back, it's 41 3/4 ended up being. So it's kind of nice, teaching height. Get my old statics and dynamics book from college. So gives you an idea of how much a textbook will fit on there. If you had a notebook, can go underneath it, and you can, have 2 on the side. I think it works out pretty good.